episode in the 2025 PeakDay podcast year-end series features married couples who encountered natural family planning either during marriage preparation or later in married life, and who now live it out in the rhythms of their everyday decisions. Their stories reflect the real questions, growth, and grace that emerge when couples choose to understand and respect fertility within marriage. Zach and Faith Thibodeau were a couple to grow in their love for the Catholic faith and NFP. Zach while in college, and Faith after going through RCIA. So, what was kind of like the most impactful thing that you learned when you were taking your NFP class?
Really, my background was pretty much you either abstain or you use contraception. I think the most impactful thing was just even honestly learning about it, understanding what it is that's part of the body in God's design, how effective it is, and even our story would later would illustrate how it was very effective. And for me, the most impactful thing was actually you don't really think about like contraception, like you don't really think about what these things are. And so in our course, they just taught us what IUDs are and all these various things. And to me, what I was just really surprised about was how far people would go. Maybe they didn't know, or they did know, to alter their body for this purpose. And just even the risk of the IUD, risk of the uterus tearing, risk of infertility, risk of this. I mean, just all these things that had never been really discussed. It really, honestly, I was very disturbed by all those methods and enjoy what they would do to your body and what you would do to do that. It was very surprising to me.
Yeah, I went to public school, so I had the whole sex ed course. It was all about contraception and just, avoid pregnancy. And they never told you any of these side effects that could happen. But I think the most impactful thing for me is, I did sex ed. I knew my period would come once a month. I had no idea about ovulation. I had no idea how my cycle actually worked, how my body actually worked.
Right.
These things are happening in my body to signal fertility, and I didn't know what that was. I was just like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
And so NFP just gave me a really, a sense of how my body worked and about this design it has.
Sure.
That was very, empowering and reassuring. I was like, okay, it's normal.
Right.
The teaching couple was really amazing. They really helped us a lot with just understanding what NFP was. She was on call, so even after our course, we could call her, ask her questions about this or that. She offered to read Faith's charts when she had to go into surgery, and she gave us just a lot of information and really a lot of support that I didn't really have in.
I think they were the best example we had of a couple that was in church teaching.
So there are a lot of couples that feel they have a serious reason to postpone a pregnancy. What would you tell them about the effectiveness of using natural family planning?
I would tell them, just in our experience, it was very effective. Before, most of my doctors really cautioned me about getting pregnant, even before they knew about the pseudoaneurysm, without doing all these tests. And so they'd always kind of pressured me to be on contraception.
Sure. Yeah.
But really, that there is no need. Like, NFP is very effective when you use it correctly, and when you know what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. John and Brooke Fisher have had many joys and challenges on their fertility journey and shared their story of faith and trust while navigating different fertility awareness methods.
At one point when we were still just dating, I did have to tell him I wasn't totally sure, if I would be able to have kids. And thankfully, his response was just totally open to whatever I had to say, and he still loved me through it, and it wasn't a problem to him. But he wanted kids too, so we're very, very grateful that our story has worked out how that it has.
Have you had conversations with, like, maybe outside of marriage prep? Have you had conversations with other couples about natural family planning? And how do you let them know that even if it is maybe a little bit countercultural, that it's a good thing?
Most of the time when we're talking to couples about NFP, we do that in the context of our marriage prep conversations. We help lead marriage prep retreats, and then we also coach or mentor couples one-on-one. So we have lots and lots of opportunities to talk to people when they're just at that initial starting point, right? Just almost married.
And friends too.
Yeah. Yeah. But we just do it so much with these other couples too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the things we talk about, countercultural, yes, but culture's broken, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things. Every couple we work with, when they're engaged, they all want a great marriage. They all want their marriage to thrive. They want a marriage that lasts forever. And so when we look around at the culture and say, oh, yes, this is countercultural, that's actually a selling point, because culture is broken and so many marriages are broken.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. But I think, we talk about some of the benefits that we've found in our relationship, where it just, and maybe we can get more into that, but it's just how it really pulls us together.
Right.
And helps improve our communication. And some of those things, I think, are not always present in the way that most couples live their relationships. And so we point to the research on the number of marriages that stay together when they're using NFP and when they're not. And even that alone is enough to give people a second look. And I know everyone that we talk to, most people we talk to, I think, when they're engaged, they're hesitant and they have questions, because it's not something that a lot of people know about, and it's not something, where a lot of people have lots of friends that are using it that they can talk to. I think a lot of people who are thinking about using NFP feel isolated and feel like they're the only ones on the planet who do it. It's not true, but unless you have that community around you, it's easy to feel that way.
Yeah.
But every time we bring it up, I think people are maybe hesitant and maybe curious, but definitely interested. Just because of the potential to really, use that to build an incredibly strong relationship.
Yeah, they're very receptive to what we have to say. Just very engaged with, the ways that it has been a benefit to our marriage, and we don't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. We tell them the struggles, and we tell them what has been just absolutely wonderful about it. So,
well, I think one of the other things too is, I do think that a lot of couples, when they think about intimacy, they default to just the bedroom. Like, that's intimacy. But there's a lot of intimacy to be found outside of just that, which you wouldn't necessarily explore as much if that's always on the table. And so I know, a lot of people are concerned when they think about NFP about times, short periods of abstinence every month. Those really aren't that big a deal. And what they force you to do is find other ways to love each other, which you might not look into as much if sex is always on the table. So I think that has been something that has really strengthened our relationship too. And then when you can come together, it's special and it's exciting and it's new and it just doesn't get old.
So what would you say to somebody who maybe has irregular cycles or maybe has, health issues? Would you say that, NFP could work in their case? What would you say to them?
I think if you have irregular cycles, it's even more of a reason to use natural family planning, because it's going to teach you what's going on with your body. If there is some, underlying cause of that, it's important to know in case it could affect other things, especially your fertility. A lot of times it can affect your fertility, and the only way you're going to find out is through charting and talking to doctors about what is shown through your chart. And as far as the difficulty of using different methods, that's why it's been wonderful to learn several different kinds, because it can change depending on just what state of life you're in.
We have 4 kids, and at any given time, at least 7 of them are talking. Like it's just it's loud and it's crazy, but we love this life. But we, like I said, we wouldn't have naturally gone there without having that insight. So I think there's joy in big families or bigger families. There's really just no way to be selfish when you have 4 children, right? There's just no way to be selfish, and it's been so good for us. It's stretched us in the best possible ways, but I feel like our life is fuller and more beautiful now than it ever has been at any point in our lives.
Yeah.
Sophia and Nathan Steen both converted to Catholicism shortly before their marriage in 2024. They took NFP classes as part of marriage preparation and ended up valuing it as an integral part of their introduction to the faith. So how did the learning about NFP impact your faith journey as you were going along?
We had actually talked about this earlier this week, and it became an integral part of our identity and our faith identity, but not something that we really built off of, which is a little strange, but it just became enrobed in the rest of it. And
it became an example, a very prominent example that some people close to us did not agree with, of our dedication to and immersion in the Catholic faith.
Yeah. And it wasn't something that was like a light bulb moment for us, but it really was supporting everything we had already learned. And when we
NFP really, in our view of it, really kind of encompasses pretty much all of the core doctrines of the faith in one way or another. So it really was kind of the culmination, I guess, of our beliefs in a way. But I mean, again, we were learning everything all at once, so there wasn't necessarily this specifically right now.
Yeah,
but it helped a lot. I think.
Yeah, it just was wrapped up in, and then really supported that this is a truth. Like this, here is the one truth, and it's applicable always and everywhere.
Yes, and every part of your life.
The entirety of your life becomes this one thing. It's all oriented back towards Christ being the one truth, and
it really kind of, I think for us, was one of the first things where we actively realized, even if we were a little bit forced to realize, that it is part of every part of our life.
Yes.
It's not just, oh yeah, we go to mass and then we're here and we do our own thing. It's everything.
Yeah.
Joshua and Jess Carlos were married in 2023, and while Joshua completed RCIA, they learned about natural family planning and both grew to appreciate their faith even more. What do you think? Is it important for couples to learn about natural family planning during their marriage preparation?
I think so. I mean, I think it's a great way. I mean, especially if their faith, if they're getting married through the church and everything, I feel like it's in reinforcement of what's the import, or not the importance, but like I guess the gravity of it, of the marital act, and how that you're inviting God into your relationship and all of that. So it's like creating that responsibility as parents that yes, you're engaging in the marital act, but then you're open to life, and so what comes with that is just all the other things that when having a kid. So I feel like it reinforces your faith, but then it also, instills that responsibility that, you're going to be parents and, this is serious.
What do you think the benefits have been to your marriage of practicing natural family planning?
Well, I mean, I think we've definitely been able. It's opened another type of communication. Like I think we're both pretty good with communicating with each other. But I'm learning a lot more about her in different ways too. And we were actually talking about it the other day, and I guess she's caught on that because I know like the cycles and everything. I know how to talk at certain times of her phase and not be so pushy at times. And so,
that's very helpful, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Oh, you're a smart guy, Joshua.
I thought I was slick, but I guess she caught on pretty quick. So
she caught you. What's one piece of advice that you would give a couple that's just learning about natural family planning to maybe help them along?
Definitely do it together. Be like both of you being on the same page, both of you going to classes, even if you're doing the self-paced, that you're just devoting your time, both you and your partner, to the class. Like it has your undivided attention, and split the work, doing it all together.
Tony and Maria Lotz, newlyweds in 2025, talk about learning how NFP and increased awareness of Maria's fertility is helping them navigate PCOS. So you spoke a little bit, Maria, about your irregular cycles. So how has learning to chart and learning all about the the phases of your cycle, how does that help you navigate and deal with your irregular cycles?
I think initially it helped me understand a more fuller picture of what my cycle should be and how, and being able to like getting that initial knowledge of this is what happens after this happens, and like this is what's happening during this phase, and this is what causes this piece. It helped me kind of realize even more like, oh, this is like, even like I already knew it was kind of irregular, but realizing like, oh, this is like the phase specifically where like my body could be struggling. And so it's helped me in working with like my women's health nurse that I've seen before, her being able to make recommendations for specific like treatments or even medications for helping with the certain hormones that should be happening or should be increasing or decreasing in certain phases.
What encouragement would you offer to women who feel maybe overwhelmed by learning to chart or understanding their fertility signs?
I think definitely just having patience with yourself and even with your fiance or husband, because it it's typically a totally new ball game for you, and it also is for him. And but I think just having patience and understanding that it doesn't have to be, and it won't be a perfect process at all. And you could have some cycles that are really straightforward and maybe others that aren't, and the just continuing to try and even viewing it in a trying to view it kind of from a gratitude perspective. I think it's easy sometimes to, as women, to get really frustrated, and even like I get really annoyed whenever my period comes and a new cycle starts, but it's also a gift to get to experience that as a woman. So it's just all, it's a lot of trying to give yourself grace, and that's something that I even need to do for myself.
These couples remind us that NFP is not reserved for experts or teachers, but is accessible to ordinary marriages, navigating work, family life, and discernment together. Their witness brings this series full circle, showing how the insights shared by clergy, professionals, authors, and teaching couples take root in daily married life. To conclude our 2025 year-end wrap-up, we are grateful for every guest who shared their time, experience, and convictions on the PeakDay podcast this past year. Together, these 4 episodes reveal a shared thread. When couples are given the tools to understand fertility, they are invited into deeper communication, greater generosity, and a fuller vision of marriage rooted in truth and hope. Thanks for watching.